Hi, Leanne Donahue-Tamplin here. Today I'm interviewing Janet Beckers, and she's the founder of a training and mentoring organisation that helps women develop and grow profitable businesses with a particular focus on online businesses. Janet is an author, an international speaker, and she's won a lot of awards for her business and marketing skills. And she's going to talk to us about how she went from running a business that failed to creating the lifestyle and business that she now calls success. This is the first part of my interview with Janet. At the end of this part of the interview, I will come back and reflect on what we've talked through and identify the strategies that she's used so that you can apply those in your own life. So I hope you enjoy the interview, and I'll come back and talk to you soon. All right, so Janet, can you tell me how you define success?
Oh, right into it. Let me think.
Yeah,
success is really, really interesting because I think over time I have defined success very, very differently. And I look back at the way I have defined success in the past, and I can see why at different stages I have felt like a failure, because the way that I had defined success was really how other people would have defined it. And so for me now, and it's really interesting because this has just been something I've been talking a lot to my peers just recently, is how do we redefine success? And so it was only yesterday morning I was talking to a lovely colleague of mine about how do I define success in my business. And I was saying, you know what? It's not about the amount of money. I always thought it was, but that's not what motivates me, because if it was only about how much money I could make, there are so much easier ways to make money than being in business. So I would have just gone and got a job, or 2 or 3 jobs, if that's what motivated me, if that's what success was.
Yeah.
So it's not that. Even though that is the scorecard that you use in business, it is absolutely important. But once you reach a certain amount, then that's not what defines success. And I think if you do that in business, you know, you're going to end up driving yourself constantly. You're never ever going to reach it, because it's always going to be higher.
So what are those? What are those kind of points that would be for you? This is when I've succeeded, when I've done these things.
So for me, the thing that becomes success, and I realize that the things that motivate me, that they're important things, are how many people's lives can I change? How much impact can I have heart to heart? That's actually a really high motivator for me. So that's what I define success. And the other one is lifestyle. What is it where I have freedom around me being able to be with the people I love when I want to, and for me to have the freedom to, you know, basically be in charge of where I spend my time during a day, during a week, during a month, during a year. So that's why for me being in business is important, and that's how I define my success. So interestingly, like when I've done a launch, I've gone, when people have said, you know, how much have you made? And I thought, you know what? I've actually got to go back and check exactly how much I made, but I can tell you how many people that I've enrolled, how many, you know, and it's crazy. So I have to actually calculate backwards. So that's where I really realized, you know, it's the number of people. How many people have I helped? And did I have to work the weekends? Did I have to work the nights? Did I have a holiday?
Yeah,
that's the freedom.
Yeah. And so how close to that are you, that ideal success that you want? Are you living that life already?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I want to impact more people. So in terms of freedom of lifestyle, I've pretty well got that, though I do know that I need to bring somebody else into my business who is a good project manager, so that I can free myself up so that they can be doing all of that sort of day-to-day managing stuff. So I think when I've got that person in the business, it's going to free me up a lot more. But really, I don't allow myself to have to get run into the ground and have to do that awful constantly being driven and work. So for me, in terms of lifestyle, time with my family, freedom, I've pretty well got that. I can just, but if I want to impact more people, that's going to be difficult to do within the freedom boundaries I've given myself. So I've realized now, you know what? I want to impact a lot more people. And if I'm going to impact that more people, I'm going to need help to be able to do it. And if I'm going to be bringing in the help to do it, then I have to be, well, if I want to do it, I either work a lot harder, make myself a lot more accessible, or I have to bring in other people who are going to help me to help more people. So that's, I can see as I bring on those people and train them and work out those things, there will be some time where I'm perhaps going to limit the freedom that I've got until I get to that next point. So I guess the thing with success and how you define it is how, I guess I've impacted, I've been fortunate. I've helped thousands of people already, and I've got a beautiful lifestyle and a beautiful family, but I want to help more. So at what level does it become more people that you want to help and more people that you want to help?
So it sounds a bit to me like you're saying that success picture changes a bit over time, and you don't kind of get to a point, go done, finished. It's more of now I'm here, now where do I want to go and how do I make that bit happen? But each bit is a bit of a milestone along the way. You're kind of getting to a point where you go, I've really accomplished that part. Is that right?
I think so, yeah, spot on, Leanne. And you know what? I find when the way that you define success, sometimes you define it unrealistically for where you are. Like I can remember embarrassingly, I look back at some of the notes from some of the first workshops I went to when I started learning about business and internet marketing, and they always have this thing about, I want you to write in this book, the date is so and so. August 13th, 2017, and I've made $1.5 million. And you're doing this, and like it's only like a year ahead or something, and you're writing this, and I look back and I think, how ridiculous, because that was only 12 months away. I didn't even have a business. They talk about unrealistic expectations. So that's where sometimes you set yourself up to fail, and it gets harder and harder. But then conversely, sometimes you will set yourself a goal of, say, I'm going to make 100,000 in my business, 200, 300, 500, a million, whatever it is. Or I'm going to impact 10 people closely, 20, 40, whatever. It's going to, 100, 1,000. And then you go, okay, well, I think I can see myself doing this. And then when you get to there, you realize, you know what, I'm actually capable of more, because you've learnt the skills, you've got the confidence, the personal skills, that you get to a certain point and you think, you know what, lift your game, baby. You can actually do better than that. So sometimes, we set ourselves up to fail with a stupid goal. And then other times, as you get more realistic, the goals that you can't even imagine yourself doing, it's not until you've pushed yourself out of your comfort zone that you've kind of realized, you know what, hey, I'm actually better than that. So I think that's why it never stops, because you learn more about yourself.
So they've got to be a stretch, but they can't be impossible, can't feel impossible. Absolutely. I actually think that if you set those impossible goals, it reinforces your inadequacy, doesn't it? I can't get there. I just can't get that million in 12 months when I haven't got a business. I'm hopeless, aren't I? Absolutely. And you know what? It really frustrates me in the, the business success sort of industry, of the coaching industry, which I'm part of. I help people to create businesses that they love. But a lot of the people in my industry, they sell this unrealistic dream. And, if you're not setting these big goals, you're not thinking big enough. And you know what? It's setting people up to fail. So I was sucked into that for years and years and years. And I hate it. I will not do it to people. So I actually want to ask you about that, being sucked into it for years and years. Can you tell me where this journey for you started? When did you start aiming for something like this goal, this success that you've got at the moment?
It's been a long journey, actually. I started my first business, which was an internet art gallery, and that came from being frustrated because I was working in health, community nursing. I was frustrated. I wanted it as self-expression. So at that point, I didn't have any of these goals about making a fortune. I just wanted to do something that was different. You know, I wanted to have the challenge of starting a business. You know, that long story short, that business, I learned a hell of a lot and lost absolutely every single cent we had. I didn't know anything about business. So from that point, when I then thought, you know what, I ended up selling that, believe it or not, somebody bought it, that I then realized, you know what, I'm not going to make these mistakes again. I'm going to go into a business with my eyes really wide open, and I'm going to get mentors. I'm going to learn how to do this properly. And when I started going down that track, I was really cautious because I had, you know, in my view, failed before. But in hindsight now, I can see it was amazing what I achieved with such little knowledge. But that's when I started going down the track of being exposed to any kind of education on business and success. And I think the nice thing is I had that one side where I was being exposed to, you know, set that goal, 12 months, I'll have that $1 million business, to the other side of having been burnt. And so I was cautious at the same time. So I think that meant that when I started going into the business I have now, which Wonderful Web Women, which itself now is evolving further, you know, it didn't start off there. It started off with me helping other people, you know, partnering with them, and then getting frustrated because I wanted my own baby. And then Wonderful Web Women coming from me just spending so much time hanging out in women's toilets at events, asking people what was frustrating them, literally, because I was going to make sure I knew my market well. So, you know, that's going back 10 years now, that really I made that move over to following what I was passionate about. I absolutely love helping people to create businesses around things that they love doing, helping other people to make a difference. And so once I got, you know, really into that, that's where I started thinking, you know what, I want to help more people. So it became, so probably 10 years ago, but I think that's why I actually ended up having success in that business, and it's continued because I approached it in a much wiser way from having been burnt first, and being driven by the needing, you know, wanting to help people and wanting to make an impact. So
I think that driven is a really interesting issue that's coming up in a few of the interviews. It's you know, people often talk about finding that why. But what I'm learning is it's much more than a why, and you were defining that passion and that I've got to make this happen. It's more than just I want to put food on the table, or I want to set that. It's something that's a drive, isn't it? As opposed to it's just something I need to do. It's interesting.
Oh, absolutely. It's not being driven by necessity.
No.
If it was driven by necessities, as I was saying at the beginning, there's much easier ways to make money. There's much easier ways to feed your family. But there is some kind of entrepreneurial drive, whether it's an expression of your I don't know, that for me there's the challenge, you know, there's the expression of creating something, and then there's also that difference of having freedom, control over who I work with when I work. That's a really big driver. And as I've said numerous times, like, who do I get to work with, and what can I create together to create some kind of movement? That's the drive.
So was there a point where it felt impossible?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, numerous times.
And how did you push through then? How did you push through those times?
Well, I'll give you an example of one where Wonderful Web Women, which just started from after doing all those interviews in the women's toilets at these events, target market, doing my surveys just over a long time with a MP3 recorder and kind of a bit weird. that when I started then the business, which was finding these successful women online, interviewing them, people paid me to listen basically, because they either bought whatever the woman was offering and I got a commission, or they signed up for a membership to be able to get the recordings of the interviews. I mean, people won't do that now because there's podcasts, but that was the model back then. Now, it just took off. Like, I built a list of thousands in just a few weeks. I won awards. I had people contacting me saying, can I pay you thousands of dollars to mentor me within only a few weeks? And I'm going, sure. Now we'll go and work out how to do that one. So it took off really quickly, built this beautiful community, and it really started to grow. And, you know, and that continued to go for a couple of years. And then there was one day, New Year's Day, and I wish I could remember the year, actually. I should try to remember the year. New Year's Day, you know, hanging out at my mum's place, and I just go to just, you know, check to see online. And we must have been talking to my mum about something. I can't remember what it was. And I was actually at that time doing a collaborative project, inviting members, you know, and potential members to take part in the book. And so there was a lot of buzz happening. Went to go and check on the website and it was gone. So thought, oh, maybe, you know, it's just one of those, you know, it's the gods of technology stuffing up for the new year. Not going to phase too much. So, you know, half a day later went back. Oh, it's still not back on. I think I better go and investigate this. Very, very long story short, it was when the world, you know, the financial crisis was happening.
Right, yeah.
Our web host, who I had become really good friends with, because that's what Janet does, is had gone belly up. He'd gone bankrupt, but he hadn't told any of his clients, and he must have had been paying on a server for all of his web hosts to be done, and it must have expired at the end of the year. 1st of January, my site, a lot of my client sites, because, you know, I had a special deal with this host, you know, that my clients were with him because he had been wonderful leading up to then. Everything just went. The whole site just went. And I had people who were in the middle of a project. By then I had already launched another program which sold for $2,000, and I knew I had people following that program and they were running launches. And so they needed that material. There was no Facebook at that stage. So, and you know what? I looked at that and I thought, they've gone belly up. We've got to recreate absolutely everything, because then we thought, no, it's all right. We've been in our software that we were using, where there's a button that says press here to back up. We were doing that weekly, had our procedures. It's all right. We got a new host. We'll just put the software up. We'll be back up and running. Didn't work. That's when we found out it was putting the pages up, but not all of the content. So this is where it comes to answer your question, is, did I ever want to give up? Because when we realized that, you know what, we had to try to find all of those files. We had to recreate all these websites. We had to just start from scratch, basically. All this content was everywhere because I had people all over the world working for me. So we didn't have one place apart from online where all these files were. And I actually decided I was going to quit, because I thought, you know what, it's too friggin' hard. Like, it's going to take me at least a month to get this all back up, going flat out. And do I want to do it? Do I want to do it? And for me to wallow in self-pity, I can usually only do it for about an hour at the most, and then I just kind of snap out of it. For me, it was 2 days. And I really had to go through and work out, why wouldn't I quit? What does it look like? It was very attractive to just give up. And that's where the big why came in, because I was imagining, what will life be like if I did do it, or if I just quit. And I thought, you know what? I would really, really miss it. I would miss the community that I've created. I'd miss all these people, all these clients who I work with, who I like, who I consider friends. I'd miss the creativity of it. I just can't imagine myself doing anything differently. And so that's what drove me back to it. And the support of my community was amazing, because what I did is I got the blog up really quickly, and I just started blogging absolutely everything that was happening, what I was thinking, the decisions I was making. I admitted that I really did consider quitting and what that was going to mean. And because I communicated with everybody through it, they were so amazingly supportive. I had clients who sent me CDs that just had every single file that they had ever saved of mine.
Wow.
You know, I had colleagues of mine saying, you know, Janet's lost everything. What can we do to help her? I had people saying, I want to join the membership, but I can't find where to sign up. And I had to go back because there's no membership area. Why do you want to buy? There's nothing to buy. Nobody asked for a refund. Wow. And yeah, so it was number one, being super clear on, you know, do I want this? So I did. And then it was, okay, well, who's going to help me? Like, be really open and vulnerable and take people on the journey. And then the other thing was, you know what? Life's given me lemons, and there's no way I'm just making lemonade. Like, if I've been handed a lemon like this and I've connected again with why I'm doing it, I'm making a bloody margarita out of this. And I used that theme in everything I'm communicating. You know, some of my members started coining the word margarita marketing. Yeah, I even looked at getting the domain name and making the whole business. But I thought, you know what? I can change this. You know, I can make what I've always been offering better. I can use better software that is not going to leave me vulnerable like this again.
Yeah. I
can perfect backups so that things are going to work. And I'll teach my clients how to do it. And so to me, it became like a phoenix, I suppose.
Yeah.
But that was probably business-wise, that's been the one time where I absolutely really seriously considered giving up. Like, you know, apart from, you know, thinking about this is too hard, I'm going to go and get a job. That would probably happen once a month.
Yeah.
But
did you say once a month?
Yeah.
Once a month, you think that's it? I'm going to go get a job.
Yeah. Sometimes I think, it's because running a business is hard when you're the main person. The buck stops with you. You know, if your cash flow that month is not good, well, it's your fault, baby. Your responsibility. You work a way to get out of it. If things are going wrong and all the technology's gone crazy, well, you can't just, it's not the boss's problem. You're the boss. Yeah. So when you're dealing with all of these things, it's not this lovely, rosy thing of, I will just have everything in place and I will methodically have beautiful clients and everything will work seamlessly. There are always going to be things that come up. But the thing is, when you're running your own business, you're responsible for everything. So the buck stops with you. Doesn't matter how many other people you've got helping you, the buck stops with you.
I'm going to stop the interview there. I think now is a good time to reflect on all the great information that Janet is giving us. First thing she talked about was how her idea of success has changed quite a lot since she first started. And rather than it being a solid, hard target, it's more of a moving one. And she reflects on it from time to time to make sure she's still heading in the right direction. She said that having those unrealistic goals, which are often described in the success literature, to have this huge big goal, she felt that they really set her up to fail rather than to succeed. And she discourages people from doing that. Rather, she sets herself realistic goals that extend her but don't overwhelm her. When she had a huge business failure, it wasn't something that stopped her, although the failure was pretty significant. She said that the family lost everything, so all their finances. So she had to rebuild from that. But what the failure taught her, instead of focusing on what she lost with it, she focused on what she learned from it. And she went and got more information and got herself more skilled so that she could do a better job of the business the next time. She said that when she found her real passion, that she felt driven to keep going. So there, it wasn't just I want to make as much money as I can. She felt that that wasn't enough to be a driver. It had to be much more than that. She had to be driven to make a difference in the world. She also said that she feels like it's impossible, goes into reflecting on it, thinking this is impossible and I'm going to quit and get a job probably once a month. She said that happens. But what it does is makes her get clear on how much she wants to keep doing this, which is why that feeling of being driven is so important. She can't let go of it. She wants to keep connected to the people, to her colleagues, to the creativity of the process. There's so many things about it that make her feel driven, that she can't let it go. She said she doesn't wallow in self-pity for long. She's not that kind of person where she'll get upset about something and then it will pass quite quickly and she'll focus on, so now what do I do to solve this problem? And then one of the really great metaphors, or I guess she used, was when she said when the world gives her lemons, she doesn't want to make lemonade, she wants to make margaritas. And she even looked into using the term margarita marketing. And I think that seems to really describe Janet's tenacity. It didn't matter that something failed. She was always going to keep pushing, and not just to some acceptable standard, but beyond that and to something more and more. And that drive is about making a difference, and that keeps pushing her towards that margarita level of success. Okay, thanks for listening to this first half of the interview. The second half will be available on another podcast, and look forward to seeing you then.